Let's edit the video. So technically, I'm re-editing the video because this is a client project that I already did, turned in and everything, and it's already been posted. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. I didn't think to actually shoot or record any content or record any video when I was editing, so we're basically gonna go through and re-edit it. So to get started, I usually generate proxies first. Here it is already done, but I'll show you the process. The proxy generator, it does come with the free version and of course the studio version of DaVinci. And usually if you don't, I have it pinned to my taskbar down here. Yeah, I know in Windows you can go to all apps and go to the Blackmagic folder. You have the proxy generator along with the Blackmagic Raw player, speed tester, a number of different other things down here. Like I said, I already got it up here. And the reason I'm using the generator, one, to not only create proxies, but while it's creating proxies, I can still be working in DaVinci Resolve. And if you don't know what a proxy is basically a lesser resolution version of your clip. The footage I have is 4K, and when we edit on the 4K timeline, once you get to doing so many different effects and stuff, they can kind of be taxing on the computer. So I usually generate proxies to make the editing workflow faster. But basically, just click Add. You'll navigate to wherever your clip is. So I'm gonna go to my SSD and click on Clips. And you hit Select Folder, and anything and everything in that folder will be turned to a proxy. I'm not gonna do it here because it's already been done. As you can see here, it says completed. And once it's completed, you can close this out, and that footage will still have a proxy generated. So now that that's done, usually I'm in my local database, but when I'm working on client work, I usually use the client work database. There's nothing spectacular about that. You don't actually have to separate them if you don't want to. I just like to do it for, I don't know, like something about OCD or something makes me feel, I guess, more professional if I actually have it on a separate database. But let me know in the comment section down below if you use a separate database for your client work. So I got the project here is Your Blood 01. This is the original one. This is the one I'm using for this video. Now I'm going to drag the folder that was submitted to me by the client into the media pool. This has all the clips, and all this footage was shot by the client themselves. It's all 422 10-bit S-Sending tones, if I'm not mistaken. So click on here and go to metadata. So yeah, it's 10-bit 422 S-Sending tone. So it already has like a color grade applied to it. I will still go through in the color grading portion of this clip or this video and do a little tweaks here and there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the cut page. So I'm going to cut page. And by default, I think the cut page view is like the thumbnails or the list of one of those two. Whatever it is, you want to make sure you click on stripe view. And this basically shows the whole clip in its waveform right on your page. And basically, I'm going to use that to select my performance clips or my A roll. And real quick, if I click the thumbnail view, you'll see this little purple sign right here that basically says proxy. That just means all my clips have been proxied. And then also you want to go into playback, proxy handling, and make sure you have preferred proxies checked. That way it's actually using the proxy footage. So now I'm going to go back to the script view and basically looking at this waveform. You see this waveform going throughout the entire clip. I'm basically going to select those clips and create a separate folder for them. So I select the clip and I hold Control. I think it's Command if you're on Mac. I'm just going to select the ones with the long waveforms throughout the clips. So it's like these here don't have anything on them. They're just more or less like B-roll clips. And this actually, the master track is in here twice, but I'm going to select it as well because I want it in the folder. I'm going to just keep scrolling through my clips. And so this got a waveform, basically anything with the waveform. Also, you want the waveform to look similar. So if it's a similar waveform throughout multiple clips, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the clip that has the audio on it or the track in the background. So scroll up here and select these. This has a waveform to it, but it's real small. I'm not even going to bother with that because most likely it's not the audio from the song itself. This waveform looks a little weird compared to the rest of them, but I think this is a part of the intro clip, so I'm going to select that. There was a particular clip in the folder that the client wanted as the intro. So now I have all those selected. I'm going to right click and then select Create Bin with selected clips. So now I'm going to my edit page. You got bin 3. I'm just going to rename it to A roll. So now I have all my clips. Got the master track as well. I'm just going to select everything, right click, and select Auto Sync Audio. By default, it says time code. You switch it to waveform, and I'm also select Maintain Video Metadata and hit Sync. And so I sync my clips, and I got 2 that didn't line up correctly. So I got 18 and 21. So I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm just going to stretch this out. And so we got 21 and I think it was 18. So I'm not gonna play the clips here, but listening to the clips, or basically playing the clips back, the audio towards the end of each one of these clips kind of basically goes off to someone else. So I don't need these clips. So I'm just gonna select both of them and hit delete. So that means all the rest of the clips synchronize just fine. And what I'm gonna do is create groups out of these clips, or change the group color or the clip color. So all these here are more or less the same. Lighting conditions a little different from here and there, but they're mostly the same location. So I'm gonna click one, hold shift and select the rest of them, right click, and I'm gonna change clip color. I'm gonna change it to yellow, and this is just for the color grading process later on. Then I'm gonna select these clips, hold shift. Since they all look like roughly the same location, with the only thing differing being like the light and stuff like that, I'm gonna more or less leave them the same. So I'm gonna select clip color, and then I'm gonna select green. You can select any color you want. It doesn't matter as far as the color itself that you pick. So now I got them colored, like I said, again, they'll play into a factor in the color grading portion. I'm gonna select all the clips, including the master audio, right click, and create a multicam clip. Go in here, angle sync, I believe it's by default set to end. We're gonna change that to sound. Channel, we're gonna leave it at 1. And then make sure these last two at the bottom are checked. So use source audio channels and move source clips to an original clips bin. So basically gonna put all those clips into a separate bin. So now you have the original clips bins. This is all the clips themselves. Go back to the A-roll clip, and then you have the multicam clip itself right here. So I'm gonna just bring it to the timeline. I'm gonna hold Alt and stroke my mouse wheel. This is the master audio track here. So you basically wanna go through and play it. Like I said, again, I'm not gonna play it for copyright purposes. Just make sure it is using the proper audio, which you go into the dual view here. I'm gonna move this over to the side. Hit this little drop down here and go to multicam. And it's using angle 1, which is the audio itself, which you see down here is angle 1. So then what we want to do is basically we just want to change the video. So right here you have video and audio, and then you have audio. You want to leave the audio as it is. Make sure you select video only. I'm actually gonna go through here and lock this track, and then I'm gonna move over to the side here. Actually, no, I'm gonna unlock that first. And all this little access we see is blacked out, whatever extra pieces of footage I don't need. So I'm gonna rip and delete that. So now it's gonna get straight to the song. This is the key reason why I wanted to generate proxies, because you essentially have up to 10 to 11 4K clips playing at the exact same time. And so when I was editing this video originally, this was slowing down my computer, and it was making it real hard to chop the video at precise moments and stuff like that. So I did proxies to make the editing process a lot easier. And as you can see here, even playing it back right now, you see the count kind of goes back and forward. Once everything, all the clips get to going, it pretty much evens out. So everything's playing pretty much fluidly. So now I'm gonna hold Alt to the keyboard and stroke my mouse wheel just to stretch out the timeline. So basically what you wanna do at this point, you can go up here, you'll see the mouse automatically turns to a blade cut tool. So anytime you click on that clip, it's gonna switch to that particular angle. And so as it plays, you can then hit the cut tool, and it'll cut to that angle, then cut to this angle, and you just go, basically just go through and make it different cuts. Right here is actually playing the first angle, which is angle 1, which is just the audio, so it's completely blank. And these on the clips, they actually have visible footage. So I can switch this to angle 5, and then now it'll show that particular angle. You basically do that for the duration of the song. You hold Alt and stroke the mouse wheel. If you get to an angle, because 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna go with your first cut. You're not gonna go with the first draft. I think I went through 3 different drafts while editing this video, just changing up little scenes here and there. So if I get to this angle here, like right here, she's kind of blurred out. Maybe I want to make a cut there. So I can split the clip, and then right here where it says angle 3, I can right click, select switch multicam angle, and then I can look at the different angles that's on the screen and see which one I want to switch to. So I can switch that to 9. So while it's playing that, then it'll cut to here where she's already in focus. And also, when making your scene selection, you can use the keys at the top, your number keys. So if you're scrolling through your timeline, you hit 2, it's going to select angle 2, 3, 4, so on, so you hit 11. You basically have to just click on 11. So anything beyond 10, you pretty much have to click on it. And no, it doesn't work with the 10 keys to the side. You have to use the ones at the top. So I'm gonna go through now. I'm just making random selections, random cuts. And so anything beyond 10, you have to click on it for the 11. So if you got 15, 16 different clips, now you know how to use it. I didn't go through and make precise cuts. I just made some random selections throughout the timeline. So now I'm gonna box select everything, right click, and go to flat multicam clip. I'm just gonna click, I'm gonna select copy multicam grades. And then basically what they're gonna do is take my timeline and flatten it out to a point where it's where it's basically no longer a multicam clip. It's basically just like regular footage on the timeline. So I can grab this point here and move it back and forward. I can select the 2 points, hit Control T to drop in transitions. Pretty much do everything I wanted to do like with regular footage. This is something you pretty much want to do after you made all your final selections. So you'll probably go through, like I said, make 2 or 3 different drafts. After you select all your angles, then you want to flatten your timeline out. Now, if you flatten your timeline out and you notice you have gaps in it, it's usually because that clip was not there, or there was no more footage for that clip. So if I hit Control Z now, go back, you'll notice when you get here, it blanked out, which I think this is angle 1, if I'm not mistaken. Let's stretch this out. This is angle 2. So angle 2, that footage ran down on angle 2. There's no longer any footage there. So basically, I just need to go through and switch it to angle 3. Actually, man. And so I go there and right click, and I'll switch it to angle 3. So now it actually has footage there. Actually, I'm gonna switch it to something else because that's angle 3 is the next clip. So I'm gonna switch it to angle 7 or something like that. So now when I go back, hit Control A, right click, flatten out the clip. Now I no longer have the gap of space there. You also see on my timeline that all my clips have different colors. You have the yellow and you have the green. Those are the clips colors that we changed earlier in the workflow. So now when I go into the color page, I can go in here now and I can go and click on clips and hit this little drop down arrow and then I go to clip color and then I go to yellow. And that's going to show all the yellow clips on my timeline. So now what I can do is select the first clip, hold shift, select the last clip, right click, and then I'm going to select add into new group. You can give it names. I'm just going to leave it group 1. Hit OK. So now anytime I make any edits or any changes to this group, it'll affect all the clips. So it's going to go into post clip, which is a little notch here to the left of the clip. Here at the top, so you have pre-clip, clip, post clip, and then timeline. I'm going to post clip. This allows me to apply the same effect or edit to all the clips at the same time. So right now I go into gallery. I got a default tree that I made here. If you saw my video on the free log footage that I gave away, which I post up here, I went over my node tree. The only thing different with this node tree, it don't have the color space transform set up in it, which it does have one here, but I deactivated because I don't need it for this particular clip. I'm actually just going to delete that. And in the original edit of this video, I applied one of my orange and teal LUTs. So I'm going to go into the LUT folder, and I'm going to click on look, double click, and now it's going to apply that orange and teal LUT. And you'll notice it applied it to all my clips at the same time. If I'm not mistaken, the only other thing I did with this clip, or with these particular scenes, was to turn down the highlights a little bit on the lights a little bit. But you can also do it on a scene by scene basis. So like this one here, maybe I want to cut the lights down a little bit. I'm going to go to pre-clip. That way, whatever effect I'm doing will only affect just that particular clip and not the whole timeline, or not every clip that's in the group. Say, for instance, I wanted to bring down the highlights. I can go into the 3-dot menu. I'm going to select Edible Spline. I'm going to bring down the top of the curve graph down a little bit. Bring it a little bit up and then bring it in. And then I'm going to go over to, and then I go down here to highlights and turn it down just a little bit, just to make the lights a little darker. It's not nothing that's actually necessary. It's just showing that I can change one thing in this clip within the clip itself, and versus if I'm in the post clip, it'll affect everything. So now that I pretty much have this set up the way I want, I'm gonna go over to clips, and I'm gonna go into change clip color, and I'm gonna go check clip. I think to set the rest of them is green. So there, like I said, it's green. Hit the drop down again, go to the clip, and I'm gonna uncheck yellow. Now I only got the green clips. Again, I'm gonna select the first clip, select the last clip, right click. And say for instance, this was footage from the previous thing that I edited, I can add it into the current group and it'll apply those color grades. But this here is gonna be a new group, so we're just gonna call it group 2. And once again, I go into the pre-clip, go into gallery, add my default node tree, and delete this last node. And then I'll close my gallery. And I notice one thing here, the lights are really bright. So I click on these clips here, but the light's kind of bright on that side. Whoa. But right here is really bright, so I'm gonna leave this as it is. Go back to just clip. And maybe using something like the power windows, I'll grab a circle window, make it a little bit smaller, increase the heck out of the softness. I'll bring it over here to the side, and I'll bring down the lift. And then I'll mess with the curves as well, just kind of darken it a little bit on that side. So now you can see it's a little bit darker. Actually, I'm gonna right click to get rid of that and bring this up and bring that down just to soften it a little bit. And I'll probably do the same thing on the other side. This situation, I want to work at the same time, so I'm gonna do right click and add a parallel node. I'll grab another power window, bring it over to this side, increase the softness again. Probably make this a little bit smaller so it just won't be so strong. And then turn down the lift as well. Don't want to turn it down too much because then it'll distort the footage. And I'm just move this over here, increase the softness a little bit more. And then I'm gonna play with the curves a little bit. I'll bring this up. Add that little curve there. Then I go back into a post clip and I probably add a little contrast, maybe a little saturation, and then turn down the pivot so it won't be too saturated. So now if I go back and I select these and hit Control D, it's a very subtle change, but it's effective. You can also do, I'm gonna click on this little node here and hit Control S, and I'll just bring down the highlights in general of the whole clip. And so now the clip doesn't look so bright versus. So deactivate your nodes, you can see here on the scopes, on the highlights, they're pretty much all crushed way at the top. Whereas I hit Control D to bring those nodes back, you see they bring them back down. It's more or less evenly, it's in between the high point and the low point, which I could add a little lift to kind of darken the shadows a little bit. And that's pretty good there. And so it only applies to that clip because this only clip at that angle. Like I can probably go through and make some tweaks here, but this angle, actually this angle and this are the same angle. So if I want to apply those same nodes, all I gotta do is select this clip here, then go back to this one with my mouse wheel, click on the mouse wheel itself, and now I apply those same nodes to that angle. So now these angles have the exact same color grades on them. Meanwhile, this angle and the other ones are left completely alone. So it's a nice little way to work on your color grade without having to go through and nitpick every single shot. Basically anything that has somewhat similar lighting or similar angle, you pretty much can color grade once and they'll apply to everything. And with this video, I didn't really do a lot of effects because it's more of a sentimental song. It didn't really require a bunch of, transition highlights and stuff transition effects and stuff like that. I mostly just use crosses off. Place your mouse in between two clips and click. You should see the two brackets and hit Control T and add a crosses all. To make it more dramatic, I just stretch it out. So as the song plays, you can do crosses all. If you click the video in the description and watch the full video, you'll see it's mostly just crosses all throughout most of the video. Other than that, I did use my overlays that are going to the power bin and the godsend overlays. There's a bunch of extra missing here for right now, but in the original video, I used one of the film artifacts, so something like this. Just bring it to the timeline and go into screen. They give you a nice little film artifact, and then I'm going to film grain. I'm gonna use a 16. I didn't do this in the original video, but it's something nice here. I'm gonna click this, go into apply mode, go into overlay, and then basically just have an overlay right where the screen artifact comes in. So now you have this grainy texture along with the film artifact. Then just going through the clip here, like right here, it's kind of blurred out. Actually, gonna get a little film damage, place it on top, and go to overlay once again. Select overlay. Now here you notice it's really dark. It does look good, but it's really dark. But by this being basically just a video clip and the overlay, I can go into the color tab, and I'm actually go up to clips, select all clips. I'm gonna click on the overlay itself, and then I can just use lift gamma gain to kind of brighten it up if I want to. So I can mess around with the curves, kind of add like my own look to it, or I can change the color and stuff like that if I want to it as well. And go back to the edit page. Now, it's not as dark, but you still got the little film artifact going back and forth on the screen. Little dirt popping in and out. Now it's just short clips. If you hold Alt and drag, you can make a copy of it. So you can just replicate that same effect throughout the timeline or throughout the duration or however long you want it to be. Then go into my film burns and just grab a film burn too and just place it here, create a quick transition. So I'm gonna just place it in between the two clips and go over here, go to screen, or you can select add, however way you want to do it. And then just create a quick transition. Now this here, the client has his own logo. I actually used some AI to kind of like animate it a little bit, but then I got to get rid of the black background and stuff. So I'm just going to take it into Fusion. And in Fusion, hit Control Space and type in Luma. I'm going to hold Shift and add it to the node flow. And basically, it's going to help me get rid of all the black that's in the image. I'm going to turn up the contrast. Turn down the gamma a little bit. And I want to keep the black inside the mouth. So what I'm going to do is click on the Luma key here, grab a ellipse node. I'm just going to reposition this ellipse to where it's inside the mouth. Probably be easier with a polygon node. I'm just going to use this ellipse, just reshape it. About right there. It does move a little bit, so I'm just going to keyframe it about right there. I think it starts to move, so I'm just going to increase it just a little bit more, about right there. Actually, I don't even have to keyframe it. Actually, I do have to keyframe. Remember, keyframe here, and then bring it down so this little part here on the side won't be showing. But then as it increases, I'll just increase the width. And of course, it'll create another keyframe. Then I'll increase it just a little bit more. All right, now I got this set. I'm going to go into the Luma key here. Now, actually, I'm going to click on ellipse and then just hit invert. So now it keeps the original look of the inside of the logo's mouth, but also getting rid of the black. So now it's transparent. Instead of just having it just pop up there, I'm going to go over to Effects, toggle this on, and go to the Toolbox. I'm going to type in Roto. I'm going to grab Roto X and drag it onto my clip. Now, even though the effects are called Roto, you don't actually have to use them for Roto transitions. They actually more or less just animate anything you put them on. So I'm going to go over here to animation timing. I'm going to make it 1 second, which my timeline is 23.976. So I can type in 23.976 if I want to, or just type in 24 to be simple. The start position is -1, so basically starting off screen. The end position is 0, 0, which basically going to be center of the composition. And at 23.976 is basically just how long it's going to take, or how many frames it's going to take to complete that animation. Then if I turn on my motion blur, I'm going to crank this up to 10. Most likely you're going to need to let it render cache for it to be smooth. Otherwise, you get this choppy playback. So I'm going to go over to playback, render cache. I'm going to set it to user. And you get the little red line come up. So once it turns blue, it'll be completely cached. Actually, before it does that, I'm going to go into animation out. And I want the animation out frames to only take about, I'm going to do about 12 seconds. Well, 12 frames. That'll make it exit quicker than it came on. The last two things, if you want to create a delay. So if, say, for instance, I wanted to apply this preset to this image, but I don't want the effect to come in to about 3 frames, or not 3 frames, but 3 seconds in, then I just know to add that many frames, or maybe 1 second. So give it a 1 second delay, be like 24 frames, and then it animate. So now it is cache. It comes in, you get the nice little motion blur. It animate in. You see the little animation kind of like it's breathing, it's kind of zooming in as it's breathing, and then it animates back out. So I don't just make presets, I actually use them as well, and they make my workflow a lot easier, or a lot quicker rather. Something else that I did in the video edit was going to effects, and I use my Rumble pack. I'm actually gonna go here, type in Rumble, and I'm gonna grab that handheld and drop it on this clip. Then I'm going to inspect the tab. I'm just gonna turn down the speed and the strength just a little bit, just to add a little movement to the camera angle. But this is actually a tripod shot. So I'm actually gonna turn down the speed even further. And then I'm gonna change it to X and Y. So right as the transition, it's very subtle little movement there. I'm gonna turn up the strength just a little bit. There we go. That's just to give a little life, a little energy to these static shots that were shot on a tripod. Something I forgot to mention before doing the color grading, you wanna make sure you go over to playback, proxy handling, and go to camera originals. It doesn't make the biggest of difference, but you do want to make sure you have every detail available when color grading, because sometimes in between the proxy and the original color or the original clips, the color can get a little thrown off. Now, if you color grade using the proxy, is not the end of the world. Once you render, it's automatically going to resync back to those 4K clips anyway, so there's nothing you have to do before you actually render out your project. And the only other thing we need to do now is pretty much go through some B-roll. So go to media pool, go back into clips, which is the original folder, and basically you just go through. He shot some B-roll himself, So I just went through and I just found some clips that kind of emphasize certain points of the song. It's really based off the song. That's one thing you probably want to do as well before really getting into the edit is listen to the song itself, listen to the lyrics, try to get some ideas of some image that you can put in for certain lyrics, or at least check their folder, or if you didn't shoot it, check their folder to see if they actually have any images there that you can use. If you shot it, you pretty much know what you have on the SD card. You pretty much have an idea, oh well, I shot this for this particular scene, or I shot this B-roll for that, and third. And basically you just bring the B-roll in. You can just place it on top. There's nothing spectacular with that. And just basically set it up to the timing of whatever song you're, the beat, or however you want to set it up. So now I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the video. Right after the logo pop in, I'm gonna go back into my essentials pack. I'm gonna go to effects. I'm gonna go to titles. I'm gonna get rid of the rumble. I'm gonna hit the drop down, go to GS titles, and the one I used in the actual video was title 11. I'm gonna just drag and drop it onto the timeline, and then I just go through and change the name around. So I go down here and get rid of this. Then I go up and change this to Your Blood, which is the name of the song. Oh, I'm gonna get rid of this and just put her name. So now we have a title. Now that we've done all that, we can deliver the project. So we're gonna go into the Deliver tab. I have a preset called My Export, and these are the settings I'm using now. Just to go through them, I got a QuickTime, H.265. I have the NVIDIA GPU chips. I have it set in NVIDIA. I have not network optimization unchecked. Sometimes it can kind of dumb down the render to better optimize. I just want it to be full strength. I don't want it to optimize anything. Timeline resolution with 19 point, I think it's 19.1.2 or whatever is on now, it automatically pick up on the timeline resolution and change it, or makes the timeline that. Sometimes to save on computer power, I used to always edit on a 1080p timeline, change the timeline to a 4K, and then export it. Sometimes I will forget and end up exporting the 1080p timeline. Whereas now with the DaVinci Resolve 19.1, it'll automatically do that, but you can still hit the drop down and change it to anything else that you want to change it to. You can get the timeline frame rate, which I'm gonna leave as default. Quantity, I got to restrict that 60,000. That's actually a lot of overkill. I think for 4K on YouTube, I think it's like 45,000 or so. The only reason I have it at 60,000 because I have to send it over the cloud, which I use WeTransfer. So when I send it, I don't want any. WeTransfer don't really downgrade it or degrade your exports that much, but I just overclock because I'm sending it to a client. You get set at main 10, so basically a 10-bit export. But you can see, I think I left it default. And the only other thing I changed is the timeline, or the color space timeline. If you're on a Mac computer, you want to make sure you change the gamma tag to Rec 709A. If I'm not mistaken, so I know it can be a color shift from your export to actually being uploaded. So you want to make sure you select Rec 709A. Then I have these three options: bypass encoder when possible, force sizing to highest quality, and force debanner to highest quality. You can upload it directly to YouTube if you want to from here. I'm not gonna do that. And I'm going to audio. I'm going to audio normalization. Select normalize audio, and then I'm gonna select YouTube. This part here is not necessary if you're not uploading to YouTube itself. This just basically just tweaks the sound to hits the peak loudness that YouTube prefers. Otherwise, YouTube would do it itself and it can mess up your audio. Then, of course, to give it a name, select the file location, and then export. And that's pretty much my entire workflow, beginning to end. Like I said, this is more of a sentimental or more of an emotional song. So I didn't do a lot of effects. I just did a couple of overlays and then a couple of crossfades and just left it as that. However, if you have some footage that you want me to edit or a video you want me to edit, send it to me, hit me up on Instagram or the Discord, and I edit it for you and I put it in the video. Until next time, y'all be easy.